Now, RuneScape literally has thousands of items for you to acquire, and I can say with certainty, most of these are useless. Like, look at all these. That said, there are some must-have items I think pretty much every account should try to acquire at different points in their journey. Now, probably the most quintessential mid-game goal is a fire cape, but what if you're not there yet and you want to have an actually useful thing to put in your cape slot? Well, until recently, there wasn't honestly any good options. You'd wear like an obsidian cape or something, but with the release of Herblore, we got this bad boy here, the mixed hide cape. Now, it looks terrible, not gonna lie, but we don't care about fashion in this video, we're looking at stats. The mixed hide cape actually offers a single strength bonus, which, if I'm being honest, it won't make that big of a difference, but it can push you over to hitting 1 extra max hit. So there's no reason not to wear it. As soon as you have 60 range and 50 defense, you can buy this thing on the Grand Exchange for a paltry 15k. Now, next up here, we have a very underrated item, and I think it really comes down to the fact that nobody can spell it, hence it's kind of hard to buy on the Grand Exchange, and that is the Glacial Tomato. Now, this is a newly added tier 55 melee weapon. Now, this is a two-handed weapon that competes with everything around this level and is an amazing training weapon. It's better than the Granite Maul, way better than Rune Scimitar, and it even competes with the Dragon Scimitar until you get your Defender. Now, because you most likely don't have a offhand that gives you any combat stats, taking advantage of a two-handed weapon is great until you get your Dragon Defender. This thing only costs 60k. As soon as you hit 55 attack, pick this up, it's a great weapon to train with. Now, probably the single most important item for transportation around Gielinor is the Drayman Staff. The Drayman Staff is an untradeable item acquired from completing Fairy Tales Part 1 and starting Fairy Tales Part 2. It unlocks more teleport locations than any other item in the entire game, and they are completely free to use. This will save you so much time. It's a staple item for a reason, and you can get it very early on. So as soon as you can finish the quest, I would 100% do it. It'll save you so much time. And now next up here we have one of my favorite skilling items, the Bottomless Compost Bucket. Now, this doesn't just offer insane quality of life, allowing you to store 5,000 buckets of compost at once, but it literally halves the cost of your compost. And the earlier you can get it, the better. Now, for example, it takes the cost of Ultra Compost from 400 each to 200 each. Instantly, you're saving a few thousand GP per farm run, plus it just makes your inventory so much cleaner. And as your farm runs become more unwieldy, this is a must. Now, when it comes to training ranged, for a long time people will debate using a magic short bow, a rune crossbow, darts, something like that. But in 2025, there's actually a new range weapon that outcompetes all of them as soon as you can start using it, and that is the Sunlight Hunter's crossbow. This thing literally costs 5k and fires a unique type of bolt called Sunlight Antler bolts, or you can use Moonlight Antler bolts. As soon as you can wield this and fire the bolts, this is your best range training weapon. It's significantly better than Rune Crossbow, and it's even better than the Magic Short Bow with Rune Arrows and Adamant Darts. This is like a budget blowpipe, it's so good. It's great for early game bossing as well. It's honestly just a powerhouse range weapon that costs pretty much nothing. Now, one of the biggest upgrades you can get in Old School are prayer upgrades, and for the longest time there wasn't really a stopover from like the tier 40 and 50 prayers and Rigor and Augury. There was nothing in between, but now there is. With the release of the Royal Titans, you can now unlock Mystic Vigor and Deadeye, which you can get at level 62 and 63, and these are powerful upgrades over Eagle Eye and Mystic Might. These are untradeable, and you have to get them as a drop from the boss. Now, the great thing about these prayers is they drain at the same rate as Eagle Eye and Magic Might, while being quite a bit stronger, and they're technically free. I mean, you don't have to spend 10, 15 mil on scrolls, and you don't have to spend as much money on prayer trainings, so you can do more damage earlier on. Now, the Dragon Defender is another one of those quintessential upgrades that you should try to get as early as possible. Not only is it the strongest melee offhand you're going to have for a long time, it's also completely free. You can get this as soon as you have 65 attack and strength, and you should get your defender as soon as you have those levels. It can be used with any one-handed weapon, which is most mid to late game weapons you're going to be using, and will easily serve you well into the late game. And another interesting class of weapons that was added in recently is Rat Bane weapons, or the Rat Bone weapons. There's the Bone Mace, the Bone Shortbow, and the Bone Staff. Now, these are only used to kill Scurious, but once you've obtained these weapons, they offer some of the most competitive combat training in the early game. You can train all 3 combat styles, and the only requirement is to get a Scurious' spine from Scurious. Once you get a spine though, you can get above 100,000 experience per hour while making a bit of money and learning a boss. This is especially good for range and magic because early game, these are very slow, and this offers a great way to train them. I would recommend getting all 3 weapons, as you'll get loads of spines in the long run. Now the Fire Cape is one of the most iconic upgrades in Old School, and for good reason. It is the most powerful melee cape you can get for a long time. Some people, this will be their best in slot cape forever. That's fine. It offers 4 strength bonus, which beats out every single other cape except for the Infernal Cape, and it'll require you to kill Jad. In the majority of cases, the Fire Cape will get you a max hit on any melee weapon, and although the fight caves can be daunting to learn, the reward is 100% worth it. Arclight is an incredibly powerful weapon that is super easy to get and is free. The only bottleneck here is you do need to charge it with something called Ancient Shards, and these can be a bit slow to obtain. Arclight is reasonably competitive with high-end gear at places it can be used. Arclight is a Demon Bane weapon, requires 75 attack to use, and gives you a 70% increase in accuracy and damage versus demons. That's absolutely massive. So this is great for places like Demonic Gorillas, Skatizo, Tormented Demons, amazing, Cerberus. And with some changes to Arclight recently, you can now slowly begin infusing it, which will allow you to upgrade it to Emberlight later down the line. Now next up here we have the Slayer Helm Imbued. The Slayer Helm offers roughly a 15% damage bonus in any style you're using, and a 20% accuracy bonus as well. So whenever you can kill a monster on a Slayer task, the Slayer Helm absolutely is cracked. It's the strongest helm in the game. Caveat is you do have to be killing a Slayer monster or a Slayer boss on a Slayer task. It's so powerful that many players choose to only kill monsters on a Slayer task because it makes such a big difference. Like, for example, Demonic Gorillas. Most people wait until they get a Black Demon task to kill them because the damage and accuracy bonus is so significant that it's worth waiting until you get a task. So one of the best all-rounder weapons in Old School right now is actually the Zombie Axe. This is a newly added item and is a great all-round weapon because it offers a massive slash bonus, but also can be effectively used on Crush. So it's really versatile. You can use it doing the Moons of Peril. Gargoyle is great for crushing gargoyles. The Giant Mole, the Royal Titans, and it's just great as a general training weapon as well. For only 1.1 mil, it's a pretty solid upgrade that you can use all the way, even past having a whip. So you can't really have a list like this without talking about Barrow's Gloves. Barrow's Gloves are the strongest item for the slot for a very long time. They're essentially free, but do require the completion of one of the longest quests in the game, Recipe for Disaster. They offer the best in slot stats until you get a Tormented Bracelet, Ferocious Gloves, or the Zerite Van Braces, but even then they still are a great Tribid glove well into the late game. Not to mention finishing Recipe for Disaster will have you finish roughly 200 quest points worth of quests, which will unlock an uncountable amount of other amazing upgrades. Now historically, skilling outfits have been pretty weak overall, giving just a very small experience boost, but the skilling items from the new Herblore minigame, Master Mixology, are actually incredible. Specifically the prescription goggles, which give you a 10% chance of saving your secondary. Now this is just straight up good no matter what potion you're using it on, it will save you money, but some potions the secondary is more expensive than the main herb ingredient, and sometimes you can even get profitable Herblore training. For example, these work on the new goading potions where you have a chance of saving an Aldarium, which is a 67k secondary ingredient. Also, there's a new Alchemist Amulet as well, which is also from the Mixology reward shop, which gives you a 15% chance of creating a 4-dose potion, which again is pretty much useful on most potions, but in particular on expensive potions like prayer potions, super restores, prayer regeneration potions, stuff like that. These will take a few hours to get, but more than worth it in my opinion. The next spirit we have the Berserker Ring Imbued. In my opinion, this is the only one that's really worth getting as soon as possible, as it gives a +8 strength bonus. That is massive. That's 2 max hits in most scenarios. Compare that to the Archer Ring Imbued, which is very, very useless, and the Seer's Ring Imbued, which usually people will opt to wear pretty much any other ring anyway. But the Berserker Ring's amazing. It's 5 mil, and for 5 mil, it's one of the strongest upgrades in the game. Okay, next up here we have the Rune Pouch. And nowadays, you can actually just buy the Rune Pouch directly from the Grand Exchange with a Rune Pouch note. This is probably the item I actually use the most. It's super handy. You need runes for a lot of content in this game. And with the addition of the Tombs of Amascut, you can now get the rune pouch upgraded to 4 slots, making it even stronger. Now you can still earn this through Last Man Standing and even buy it with Slayer points, but if you just want to fast track it, it'll cost you about 6 mil. One item I think is actually somewhat overlooked early, but is also one of the most popular items in the game, so maybe this is a bit of a dumb sentence, but the Dragon Dagger P++. A lot of people look forward until they get, Dragon Claws, Burning Claws, until they start using specs for DPS, but you can start doing it as early as Lost City and some hopes and dreams. I mean, the Dragon Dagger is 25k, because you have nothing better to use your special attack energy on, and spec energy is a resource like anything else. So if you're focusing on the game and want to increase your damage, bring a spec weapon like the DDS. Now, who doesn't like getting experience passively in this game? Well, there's not many things that do that, but there is the Bone Crusher and the Ash Sanctifier. The Bone Crusher from the Mortania Hard Diary and the Ash Sanctifier from the Current Hard Diary. When these are charged, they will automatically bury or purify bone and ash drops for prayer experience. Now, normally you're not going to be picking up every single bone and big bone that gets dropped, so why not gain some passive prayer experience on the side? This is especially good for bursting because you're killing so many monsters quickly, and at the high end you can even earn, 10, 15k prayer experience per hour. This is very cost-effective prayer experience as well, so these diaries in my opinion are a priority to save money in the long run. Okay, next up here we have the Mage Arena 2 capes. Now this is by far the easiest of the best in slot capes to acquire, and can be pretty easily achieved as soon as you have the requirement to wear it at 75 magic. Unlike the other two, this is not obtained through a wave-based minigame. You can just go, finish the mini quest, kill some monsters in the wilderness, and get your best in slot mage cape. It's also completely free, compared to other mage gear which can cost hundreds of millions of GP. This is the obvious choice to get done first, so I would highly recommend doing it once you get 75 magic. Next up here, we have my favorite item in the entire game, the Osmundton's Fang. This thing is under 10 mil right now. It is by far the strongest item in the game under 10 mil. Probably strongest item in the game under 100 mil. It might be the strongest item in the game under 500 mil. This thing is insane. It is, if you only wear one item in the entire game, you'd probably just bring the Fang. It's useful at so many different places because of its passive effect. Essentially, the Fang clamps its damage down a little bit, but is incredibly accurate, making it a pretty viable weapon against the vast majority of monsters in this game. It's the best all-around weapon, and as soon as you can wear it at 82 attack, I would try to pick one up. Probably one of the coolest items that was added recently is the dual Macahuetl with the full Blood Moon armor set. This is actually a pretty competitive gear set just generally, but it is right now the premier item set for combat training, specifically against Naguas, but you can also even use it in Nightmare Zone and tons of other places as well as just a really solid training method. But you'll save so much time using this armor set versus Obsidian or even Bandos and Max Melee. I mean, it's just insanely strong for melee training. And next up here, we have a special attack weapon that is one of my favorites, the Burning Claws. Now these are only around 15 mil right now, which is significantly cheaper than Dragon Claws. Now the common question is which one is better, and obviously the most obvious answer is it depends, but in a lot of scenarios, the Burning Claws are pretty similar DPS to Dragon Claws while being 4 times cheaper. I use these all the time for the Colosseum, Araxor, Cerberus. Now they have 2 unique mechanics. The first one is that they deal 5% increased damage and accuracy versus demons. And secondly, part of their damage is a burn effect. Spec weapons are often overlooked by new players, but once you have most of your basic mid-game gear, Burning Claws are actually a great upgrade and a great use of your spec energy. Now, until recently, the Ava's Assembler was the best in slot range cape that was recently usurped by the Dazana's Quiver, but it is still a really solid ranged upgrade and much easier to obtain. Essentially, you just need to finish Dragon Slayer 2 to get this thing, and it's the first cape to offer you some range strength in the cape slot. This can help you get a max hit with ranged and offer some accuracy as well. Plus, it saves more of your ammunition, which will save you money in the long run, and it is completely free. Now what's kind of awkward is one of the most powerful rings in the entire game only costs 2 mil, and we're talking about the Lightbearer. The light bearer doesn't have any combat stats, so you wouldn't think it'd be that strong, but its special effect is it doubles your regeneration rate for special attack. I remember when this ring was pitched, most people didn't think it would actually be that useful, but it turns out it's useful everywhere. From skilling to PVM, maybe in PvP, I don't know. Turns out getting twice as many specs is actually incredible. And people will use it commonly in Chambers of Xeric, TOA, you can get more skilling specs, and you can get more defense reducing specs as well. So as soon as you start picking up some of these later game special attack weapons, you should 100% grab a light bearer. It's dirt cheap in comparison. Okay, next up here we have the Dragon Warhammer or the Banda's Godsword. These both serve similar purposes, but each one will shine in different content. In the end, just having one of these is really the most important part. Defense reducing specs are incredibly important once you get to later game PVM, and these are a lot cheaper than they used to be. You can get a Dragon Warhammer for only 20 mil or a Banda's Godsword for 13 mil, so they've gotten a lot cheaper over the years, but are still incredibly effective options. So next up we come to what was probably the most underappreciated item of the year, the Noxious Halberd. This item went under the radar for quite a while, but has started to pump up in value due to just how good of an all-around weapon it is, plus its 2-tile reach. The Noxious Halberd is dropped from Araxor in 3 parts, and for the first few months of the year, people didn't quite understand how good this was, but it turns out it's one of the best all-around weapons in the game, and pretty much the best option before you can get a Scythe or a Soul Reaper Axe. It's better than the whip and is great at places like Corporal Beast, the Colosseum, Araxor, you can use it in Theater of Blood, the Fight Caves if you want to go for melee because you get a 1-tile range. It has so many uses. Plus there are some changes that might happen this summer that will allow you to attack Zulrah with it, giving it even more uses. At 40 mil, I do still think it is an amazing purchase, as after then, the next upgrades are in the hundreds of millions, so better grab it before then. Rigor, Augury, Piety. There's not too much else to be said about them. They are the strongest prayers in the game, and you should grab them as soon as you have the prayer level and the money to do it. They've never been cheaper, Rigor only being about 7 mil right now, so that is dirt cheap. It is probably the strongest upgrade you can get for 7 mil. Augury is under 2 mil, dirt cheap as well, and Piety is free. The biggest cost factor now is just getting the prayer levels, which granted can cost a bit more, but these items are absolutely worth it. Staple and required item for endgame PVM, they should get ASAP. Okay, finally, another new item this year, the trifecta of Demonbane slaying weapons. We're talking about Emberlight, the Scorching Bow, and the Purging Staff. Now the great thing about these weapons is because they have such a niche use, the places they are useful, they can be even competitive with mega rares. The Emberlight is literally best in slot at Tormented Demons, pretty much best in slot at Cerberus, and great for killing Zamorak and Duke as well. Pretty much this will essentially be your best weapon against any demons, and being able to get essentially a best in slot weapon for only 50 mil is kind of a steal when you consider how expensive BIS normally costs. And the other 2 weapons do have their uses as well. Probably you'd only need to get 2 of these at the most, and especially with the release of Yama coming out. If you want to kill Yama, these are probably going to be a great option as well, so they're insane upgrades. Anyway guys, that is my roughly 30 items that I think you should pick up or must pick up. I don't know, what am I going to title this video? How clickbaity am I feeling? Guess we'll find out later. Anyway, thanks for watching guys. Talk to you later.